Welcome to Optimal Timelines. I am your guide, Sean Collins, and helping you to connect to your most optimal future timeline. So it's that time again. It's going to be the monthly Tarotscope readings for the month of August 2021. And remember, the reason I use the North Node as opposed to your sun, moon, or ascendant sign is because it's much more relevant to your actual soul path, your life path, and I find it much more accurate. Also, remember, if you'd like a personal reading, there'll be a link in the description box below. And if you came upon this video and you don't know what your North Node is or what the whole North Node thing is about, there's going to be some links also in the description box. So thanks for watching. Let's get started. Okay, so this is going to be your monthly tarot reading for everybody with their North Node in Sagittarius and or the 9th house. So I'm going to connect to my guides and we can begin. I call upon my spirit guides and guardians and the wisdom of my ancestors to bring forth the information that's true and correct for all who see this reading, that it may bring them the most beautiful, happy life possible and set them on their most optimal future timeline. So may it be. Okay, so the spread over on this side of the table is represents the first half of the month. So the first half of August from the 1st to the 15th. And then the spread over here represents everything from the second half of the month. Okay, so the big thing that's coming in for you this month is this energy between head versus heart versus head type of a thing, and balancing of that, balancing emotional energy with also clear logic, that whole thing that's coming in right now. And what's really coming in strong for you is to think in terms of your life as traditions or no tradition. So traditional or non-traditional. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Like habits that we have in our life as humans living on Earth, we all have, based on our personalities and who we are, we develop habits. And you might say that the habits are something that is habitual, could also be like a tradition, like your personal tradition. So what's coming in big time for you with this heart overhead is knowing when to use your emotions and intuition to get the truth, or when to use your logic to get the truth. So it's a blending, and it's kind of a tricky thing. And the traditions, the way that's coming in is when you have ways of being, like the way that we might handle a situation, the way our habitual, let's say, thinking patterns. So our particular patterns are our traditions. And what this is telling you this first half of the month is simply kind of taking stock of like, okay, are my personal traditions or habits or ways of being, are they kind of like helping or hindering me? Now, for a lot of you, what's coming up is, since you do have with your North Node in the 9th house and or Sagittarius, you have your South Node in Gemini or the 3rd house. And so what I'm getting is, I'm getting a lot of you, it's almost like sometimes your head and thinking supersede and take control more so than emotions. So what's really gonna, and like I said, that's gonna vary from person to person, to what extent. But generally speaking, I'm seeing a lot of you are struggling with that, of like automatically, when you think about it, a situation arises in your life, and you automatically like you're trying to, like, you analyze it as opposed to pausing for a moment and feel into it. And I've said this before with, North Nodes and Sagittarius. Remember, developing your intuitive abilities, which you do have, that come naturally to you, but they have to be developed and relied on, as opposed to always using thinking logic or, mental capacity to deal in the world. And so I think that's what's really coming out, is one of the traditions that's wanting to change is, automatically going to something, a situation happens that you have to deal with it, whatever it is, and automatically it's like you're trying to think your way out of it. Okay. And so it's really saying to kind of, kind of get out of that. The other thing too that's coming in is, for some of you, what could be happening is your thinking is causing you to draw your focus in areas that are not great for you. Okay. So when the thinking kicks in, it's almost like you're focusing on certain situations and not seeing the big picture. And so what you want to do is look at all angles of, a situation. Like, I know for me personally, like when I'm doing a project, I like to have a varied perspective. I try to like focus in on details and work those out, but then I try to like stand back and see the big picture. And that's what's kind of coming up in your life when you're changing these traditions and you're developing, both your intuitive and heartfelt and, emotional capacity. And while keeping in check, maybe, overthinking things. That balance right there gives you the best of both worlds of, the analyzing part and the hyper focusing part is good. And that comes from more of the mental state. And then the heart or intuitive abilities is like standing back and kind of seeing the big picture. So it gives you the best of both worlds. And I think that that's what's going to wanting to come out this month. So there'll be situations that will come up in this month that are going to allow you to learn this. Okay. So just remember, think of both head and heart, use them in balance, big picture and tight focus. Okay. Now moving on to the second half of the month, I'm seeing something where a lot of you are going through like a big awakening. Okay. And with what I said in the first half of the month, I think that some of you are going to finally really get it and get that, how you need that balance in your life, and it's like this wake up call that I'm getting. And the reason that is happening for a lot of you is I'm getting there's so much energetic change around you. Like I'm talking about like fluctuating energies in all different directions. And because of the frequency, and I don't mean frequency as in vibe frequency, I mean frequency as in, how many times something happens. Okay. So the frequency of these fluctuations is causing you to finally realize, wow, okay, I could see where like I automatically go into like thinking in hyper focus mode. Whereas, when I do bring in more of my intuitive abilities, and so a lot of you are learning that. You're learning like, okay. And I think for a lot of you, it's not only happening because of the frequency of how many things are happening and how it's changing. But I feel like there's actual people in your life around you that are helping you to realize this and helping you to change. I feel like there are key players within your life, key people, and they could come from family, friends, work relationships, or love relationships. And I feel like, especially those really close to you, like those that have become really close to you, are kind of showing you that side. And I feel like a lot of you are like, kind of, like, waking up to that. And that's kind of what it is. It's these energetic shifts, because they're not staying the same for very long. There's this high frequency of like up and down that it's showing you, along with having these people. And again, what it is, you have, the hangman here, okay? The hangman is about, seeing different perspectives, seeing things in a new way, and not trying to force change. Again, it's like when we are stuck in traditions and our personal traditions, which are our ways of being and our habitual ways of being, when it's clear that they're not working, but we keep trying, it's like, I've said, where you're knocking the round peg into the square hole. You're like fighting against it, as opposed to, I need to find the right peg to go in that hole, and it's about, seeing that perspective. And so, like, good job. A lot of you, I see, like, you're really learning this balance, of, like head and heart emotions, and, focusing, mental energy and heart energy. Really, really good job on that. And just remember, if anyone who's watching this, if you're struggling, okay, and if maybe you're not further along and you're not, kind of seeing the results in your life that you want, here's what I want to suggest. I always suggest do this, to go back and look at what it means to have a north node in Sagittarius or the ninth house. Read about that, okay? Because when we're working with our soul path, our north node path, working with our astrology chart, okay, and the soul path based on our astrology chart, it's constant adjustment and upkeep. It's really like a lifelong thing. It does get easier sometimes or harder than others, but it is constant upkeep. So if you're watching this and you're like, I'm not, feeling that yet, or if you're really struggling, remember to get the struggle to cease. It's really following that soul path, and you really start to see changes. It's the quickest way to do it. That's what I'm seeing for you this month. And moving forward is just, get that balance between head and heart, and look at your ways of being, your personal traditions, and make adjustments where necessary if they are not serving you, So anyway, thank you so much for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing, spending some time with me. Really appreciate you helping me grow the channel and going on this journey with me. And just want to say thanks and many blessings. Talk to you soon.